Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Valagar Aloevain, back for some more Dungeons & Dragons Online. So for this quest here, you need to have first completed the Lords of Dust quest, which is located right north of the Wayward Lobster. Once you've completed that, you will be able to see the giant hole in the wall, and we'll be able to pick up a few more quests from these people here. So this one here is Fellness. And he's going to give us a quest, Servants of the Overlord. Now, in this quest, there is going to be an optional that is absolutely insane, and we will not actually even be attempting it during the video, though I will be stopping to explain what it is and how to do it. But it's easier said than done. Alright. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually head into the quest a little ways, and you're going to see a priestess and a Rakshasa Lord just having a conversation. He kind of gets mad that she locks him out, but she locked out because we're here. Once you fight them, she's going to spawn in a bunch of spiders, which are going to spawn right about where Zebub's standing. As well, she will also become active herself. Alright, once you have the wave defeated, go ahead and hit the Silver Flame Ward, which will drop the barrier, allowing you to proceed in. Now here they do actually have a stone door on the side here, which you can actually open. There are two levers, one of which is on the bottom here. The other one, you need to head up this little ramp in this pile of rock. There's a mushroom, and then our second lever. Now, once you hit this second lever, it does give you a little bit of experience. And then we can actually head in through the door where it gives you a set of shrines, which is never a good sign when you have a set of shrines this early in a quest. And then a locked chest. Now, this locked chest, not often... Ooh, rolled a 2 there. Not often, but can drop some named loot. But not named loot that is worth re-rolling the chest for, especially with it being this close to the start and only having that one fight to go between. Now once you've done that, you're going to want to head over to our next blue door, and again drop the ward and proceed in. Now this section here, you will see the Rakshasa down there. Now we do got to approach him. As we approach, he is going to he's gonna erect a barrier, not drop a barrier, and then he's gonna do some talking, and then actually spawn in some enemies here. Now, once they are defeated, he will drop the barrier between them, and head on in for, you know, to finish off that. Now you do gotta be careful there, as you might get held, as you can see from Zebub. And they can actually dish out a fair amount of damage. Alright. So this next fight coming up can actually be one of the more difficult fights in this game. Or rather, in this quest, not the game. So it starts off with a bit of spiders. Once they are defeated, it's going to drop the webs. And then right around the corner from there, it's going to be a fairly decent sized group of drow. Here we go. So these drow here, there is, as you can see, a fair large amount of them. Everything from casters to wizards and the like. Now they do a lot of damage overall, and have again, just a lot of them doing a lot of damage. So it does help to prepare yourself for the fight. Being able to maybe lay down a trap or however you want to proceed. And then kind of head in. Now, the wizards here are a big threat. They do a very large amount of damage with their disintegration spell. And then again, you have a whole bunch of archers, which, though they don't hit hard, they hit fast, and there's a lot of them. Alright, so here we go. Once they're done, it's almost smooth sailing from there. You do just have one more semi-large fight at the bottom here. And again, it's similar in the aspect where it has a bunch of guys kind of all grouped up. And a couple of casters. Now these ones are just priestess, which, I mean, they can be really annoying, but with the use of Death Ward, a lot of their spells are negated. Definitely making them a lot easier to deal with. Once everybody is defeated, we can go ahead and hop down here. From here, again, we want to hop down. Now, I do want to point out, when you hop down, without the use of Dimension Door or anything like that, these are one-way returns. So if I don't use that shrine, it is a use or lose. Now, down here, we do have a few of these Hezers, which they have a very large hit point pool. They'll ultimately don't do a lot of damage, but again, they're one of those, they hit hard, they hit fast, and if you're not careful, can definitely overwhelm. Alright. So now, heading down towards the ward. This is where things are going to get a little more confusing, and as it splits off in a couple directions. So we're actually going to head off right here first, off to the west, and it will bring us to this kind of pit. It does have a whole lot of spikes, but the jumps are not that terrible. And we can proceed down here to the south. Now we'll have a group of spiders here. Alright, once they are defeated, we're going to head down a little bit, and we're going to come across all these reavers. Now these guys are dangerous, because they have, if you have evasion, they're really not as bad, but not having evasion, they launch a lot of attacks. That meteor swarm that they cast, it is brutal. They'll hit you a few times, and even with a reflex save and a fire resistance, you see they're hitting us for 40 damage. So I mean, without reflex save, that'd be 80. Then without, you know, fire resistance, that's another good chunk. Like, that's a lot of damage there.
Nothing is left of the drow gathering dragon
Alright,
shards
so at the bottom here, we will have some more guys and a giant fire reaver lord. So I do recommend killing Trash. Once Trash is defeated, then focus on the Lord and just kind of go ham. He's honestly not too bad, especially if you have a good actual cleric with you. Just have him stand out of the way of whoever has the aggro, because those meteor swarms, they are AoEs. once he dies, as you see, 1700 XP, and we also get a nice little loot box here as well. At this point, we need to return back to that section where we had split off. So we're just going to backtrack a little bit here. Alright, so for here, again, you don't want to fall into these spikes, but if you just walk around the edge, we have a ramp here, and just a couple of jumps. So it is a fairly easy jump to make, and it'll bring us back to this section right here. Now, once here, we do need to head north, and head through this door. And again, the tunnel is gonna split off. Off to the left here, there really isn't much. There is a resurrection shrine. No rest shrine though, just the resurrection. Off to the right, we're gonna have what looks to be one Rakshasa Lord, and in our case a Famine Reaper. However, there are also a bunch of Hellhounds down here as well. So just be aware of that. Here they start coming. Alright, now once they're all defeated, you can come across here. We can use our Silver Flame Ward. There are a bunch of breakables. We have a cabinet. You can get a little book of lore. But there are a few collectibles here, as well as even some in the water here as well. So it's a nice little pile of collectibles all neatly gathered up. Once you have that, or if you're not interested, you can actually skip this whole section, choosing just to continue heading north around the bend here. This is another one of those kind of rough kind of corner points here. As you see, a lot of Fire Reavers, so they're really attacking fast. And they can just lay out that large amounts of AoE damage. So definitely want to try and kill them as fast as possible. And unlike a little Mind Flayer who is casting fire, you might not want to use fire, as they are immune to it being fire demons themselves. Alright, so heading up and around, we now come up to two passageways. One kind of a ramp down, one a ladder down. We actually need to head down both of them here. At the bottom of each one, we are going to get some enemies. Once they are defeated, we will actually be able to have the time, rather, to be able to pull and activate the rune there. So there we go. And we'll be able to pick up our first Crest of the Spider. Now we do have a second one that we need to pick up. That was actually down the other path. So here was the ladder. Now we're going to want to head off to the right, kind of down the slope. And again, it will be basically the same thing. A couple of Hezrus. And then at the bottom, another ward. Now this crest is actually located up top. Now obviously you can climb the ladder. If you have the jump, it is almost faster to just climb and jump up. And then it's hiding right here at the end. Now once you have both of these crests, you do want to exit, heading back to that initial bit, so not this one here, but just back a little bit further where we can actually head down the ramp. So here was that door, and here we are. Now the map, as you can see, is very confusing. It's a lot of layers. Now at this point, once you place in the crests and head around the corner, this is actually that optional I was mentioning. Now in order to do this optional, you do just need to pull the lever. Once you start activating that lever, it's going to start spawning in a whole bunch of those renders with their meteor swarms. And if you watch some of my previous videos, there was one quest where we had to light the pyres out in Delira's. It's similar to that. It takes forever. It's not a simple 2-second lever pull. This is about 10-15 seconds of uninterrupted in the middle of combat pull. All the while, the renders there are endlessly respawning. So even if you kill them quickly, they're going to constantly spawn. And with that meteor swarm being an AoE, you almost need somebody who is not only invisible, so you're not getting the aggro, but you need so that nobody is near them, so that they're not getting hit by the AoE effect, and that they have evasion, so that while they are getting hit, because it is going to happen, that they can avoid the damage so that they're not getting interrupted. Now once you're done, you do want to head through the stairs, hop down here. Oh, one last thing I do want to point out. That chest can contain 2 specific named items. A silver slinger, which is a silver heavy repeating crossbow. And then a silver longbow. And truth be told, they're actually fairly decent weapons. So, I mean, if you are able to complete it, it is a worthwhile reward. Once you're done, you want to go through underneath the stairs there, drop down the hole, and we'll have a shrine to our left. Just ahead of us here, we do have another web, which means more spiders. Killing them will again drop the barrier. Allowing us to head deeper in. So I'm actually going to use this shrine here, just to give myself a quick top up on those spell points, as I am using them for healing. This one is a lot more difficult than our Lords of Dust quest, which is our previous one. Mostly just the enemy type. With the cultists it wasn't so bad, but with these guys here, it's providing us with a lot of damage reduction, and it's dual damage reduction, so it does provide 2 different types in order to bypass that. From here you're going to want to hop down our hole, and we're going to have some more guys. So again, some Reavers, some Hellhounds. Now I do want to point out, fighting them over here where you drop off, some of them will actually despawn, which can be both good and bad. It will help you to avoid some of the damage as they run at you, but it will also mean that if any damage done to them, you're just gonna have to go back and redo. Alright, once you have that landing party there defeated, you're gonna head down and continue on. So now we're going to continue until we run across this purple barrier. We're going to drop the barrier, and at the back here you can either run around or hop. Do have 2 more collectibles. Hopping down here is actually going to start a nice little another optional here. So now you can choose to hit that flame ward right away, head off to the right, or you can head left into this kind of pile, and it's going to actually spawn in a whole bunch of these hellhounds. So as you're fighting these hellhounds, it's actually going to spawn a few waves of them. So it's not just going to be the 6 that we originally saw, but rather it's going to be like 2 or 3 waves of 6. So having some form of crowd control, disco ball for example, is really handy, really helpful. And of course, if you do get overwhelmed, you can always back up, kind of regroup and reform before heading on to take on the next few of these guys. Fortunately, lots of spawns also means more chance at Reapers. Alright, and you're going to want to fight right up until you get to Flamefang. Now, he is obviously the optional boss. Now, I am aware of casting a flame turret on a bunch of hellhounds, and the irony of that is not lost on me. However, it is providing a distraction, which is ultimately all I was looking for. At this point, you can loot the chest. Now, the chest can get some named items, such as the, well, not such as, the only one that it can drop is the Flame of Fury here, which Zebo had linked. It is a maul. It's actually not too terrible, and I've seen some nice builds built around that. Once you're done, you want to grab the ward, head deeper in. Now at this point, it will loop you around a corner, and you will see a couple of Rakshasa and a drow up top. Now, when you approach, they are going to kind of start conversing here. And they're just going to talk for a little bit. Once they're done talking, the ground is going to shake. It's actually going to drop a giant hole in the floor. Now, that won't start until after you kill the 2 Rakshasa. So, just get ready for that. Once the Rakshasa drop, the ground will shake. Here we go, she's gonna talk. Ground shakes. And the floor breaks. Now a lot of times this also means down she goes. At which time she also often spawns in hellhounds and the like, which if they are in that area they will also fall down. It does not look like we got any. Alright. Now at this point, once that happens, we are at our final shrine before the end fight. Now this end fight can be annoying because it's going to be waves of guys. And the end boss, they are... well, one of them is annoying. The other one is not too terrible at all, actually. So an easy trick for this one is obviously... well, you gotta start it first. The trick is gonna come before the end fight, when the enemies are spawning on the ramp there. So our first wave is actually gonna spawn right here. So a lot of people like heading up there and just preparing for that fight. So it starts once you talk to her. So talking to her, here we go. It's gonna start that first wave of guys. There we go. Now, one thing that happens is when you start, you are locked in by this barrier. However, anybody who's standing outside of that barrier can still pull that lever to drop that barrier, which also means you yourself can actually escape outside. So one trick I've seen used is people will stand at the barrier using something like a turret or something on this side of the barrier to draw them in, letting the barrier close and just killing them from the other side of the barrier with various blast type attacks such as acid blast. Obviously fireball does not work as these are all fiends, but ultimately like they can take them out, or at least a good portion. As you can see, they do a lot of damage, so just be careful as you are going through. So again, simple waves. Most of them are standard waves. After, actually I believe it is this wave, it's gonna start spawning in a couple of Yarliths. There's one, yeah, here they are. Yarliths and a Hezru. Again, just watch yourself. Yarlith are annoying because they have that knockdown. And for me even more so because they're also immune to lightning, which as you guys know from watching, I do love that rune arm a lot. There's even a stone guard, so that would have been extra damage. Now once these guys are defeated, we're back to the normal waves that we've been dealing with. Now we're actually almost reaching the end of these waves. And start of the lag. Oh no, this is not a good time to be getting lag. So the last wave of guys actually spawns on the bridge right there, kind of the ramp up, which looks like there they are. So a trick here is you actually want to fight them from way over here, leaving the guy highest up on the ramp, which looks like he's already being killed. Yeah, so Ty, if you want to come over here. So yeah, you want to, if you fight them from inside here, what you can do is, as you can see, you can target that one on the far right. Now, once you defeat them, leaving the one on the far right till last, this will actually allow you to prepare yourself for that end fight. So once he dies, like so, it's gonna spawn in the big bad boss. Now as you see, he doesn't immediately attack. This gives you a moment of break. Now it used to be that you could hide right back here and he could not hit you. He would kind of get stuck on the lava here and not really be able to get you well. So here we are. But as you can see, he still can kind of get to you, and we're having troubles actually even hitting him. But it does drag him over here out of the way. Once he dies, all that's left is a drow. Now her big attacks are almost all negative energy damage, and she does cast a couple of others, but ultimately she's really not that difficult. As you see, so don't stand next to her, problem solved. From there, it's just up the ramp, and we're going to want to proceed all the way to the end. Now there is a rest and resurrection shrine, which you do find hilarious considering you can't access this until you've already completed. At which point, as you approach, there's completion, 37,000, 30 minutes, and we can talk to this guy to get our end reward. As well, we can also talk to him again to pick up the next quest. So I do want to point out, from here, you can head directly into the next quest, Spinner's Prison. So before we do that, of course, we're going to grab our loot. Don't think I forgot about that. So yeah, out of this quest chest here, you can get the Darkstorm Helm. Both myself and Z-Bub got it. This is a fairly common drop, so often people are willing to pass that there. And that is it for the Servants of the Overlords. It's kind of a difficult quest at level. It takes a little bit of know-how to navigate you through, and there are those few choke points where it can get really difficult solo. But obviously, if you're with a good, competent group, it's not a problem at all. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a blast, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one, all.